Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for being here. I found another person to talk verticals with, and it's the very wonderful Michael Ursu.
Hello,
So,
hello.
before we get really stuck in, I'm going to ask Michael to just give a brief introduction about himself to you, the Internet.
Sure. Hi, I'm Michael Ursu, aka Maku. It's my initials. I grew up in Queens. I came out to Los Angeles to study music composition. I thought I'd be composing for film and TV, but I found myself on the other side of the camera doing acting, and I fell in love with it at 25, and I've been doing it full time for about 8, 9 years now. I also do a lot of voiceover work as well.
So, you said you found yourself on the other side of the camera. Was that
Yeah.
an accident the time it happened? Was it you filled in? How did it work?
Yeah, I was in this band at the time, and both my bandmates grew up in LA, and they said, "Hey, why not try acting? Give that a shot." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So, I found a gig on Craigslist for $60 back when $60 like meant something, to be an extra and just like sit at a table and pretend to laugh at some comedian on stage. And I show up and I'm like, "Oh my God, they're giving me lunch. They're just paying me to sit down and pretend to laugh at something. Like I'm in." And my second Craigslist gig, I was actually given a line as a bartender. So I'm like, oh wow, it's really picking up. So I just decided, hey, I'm gonna just go for this, and I'm really thankful I did.
Just going back to your childhood, so obviously you started off with music was your passion. The obvious
Yeah,
question is, and you talked about film, what were then your favourite films and TV shows that had the music that made you go, I want to do this?
it was actually not. I mean, I did watch a lot of films and TV growing up, but actually, I was more of a gamer. I'm really into video games, and it was certain video games that really turned me on to music. Um, I don't want to name the obscure games that I'd like, but Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask was a huge game for me. That unlocked my imagination, and the music in that game. I mean, those were like one of the first things I learned going to college, like just how to play those songs on piano. So I would say that, like, yeah, just playing a lot of video games kind of inspired me to get into music. It was actually Kurt Cobain that really inspired me to get into music. My family's from Romania, and the only English thing there is MTV at the time. So I was watching this grungy guy with a striped sweater, like playing a guitar, and I picked up a tennis racket and I started emulating him. And of course, that was Kurt Cobain in the "Smells Like Teen Spirit" music video. So that's really where I got my passion for music.
Love that. Okay, so you've come to LA and you've ended up doing the acting. When you obviously started off with Craigslist, what
Yeah.
then were the kind of the acting roles that you were finding were available? Kind of what's the mix out there? Almost like just proportionate between like commercial,
Yeah.
stage,
So
so on. How does it look?
at first, it was just extra roles. That's kind of how every actor starts out, just as an extra background on set, just like learning what goes on set. I never went to like, I didn't go to acting school until years later, until I realized, oh, this is going to be my vocation, like this is my profession. But I just wanted to know what it was like being on set. And I saw a lot of pros and I saw a lot of cons too. I saw a lot of ego being thrown around. But it was just good to be on set as an extra so I could learn, okay, what's it going to be like when I'm supporting character on set? And then what's it going to be like when I'm a lead on set? So all these smaller gigs kind of led up to the bigger things.
Okay, so could you just explain, because you said some red flags there and green flags, what for you, when you're on set, you're like, that's not good. Obviously, not name any names, but just that
Sure.
a behaviour that you're like, no, and a behaviour like that is someone who knows what they're doing.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember their names, but I remember this one writer, director, lead actor. Like he did it all. I'm like, and at first I was very impressed, but his ego on set was out of control. He was yelling at people because things weren't going his way. So I quickly realized, okay, like yeah, there's definitely ego in this industry as well as others.
What's the stuff that you're like, wow, people here are really good?
Just the people I meet on set. I was attracted to this profession because I can never imagine like being at a desk and just interacting with the same people for years and years. Like acting is kind of like a bit of a circus, you know. It's like a traveling circus troupe. You bond with these people for like a week or two, sometimes three or a month, and then it's like, okay, on to the next. And you take everyone's, experiences with you, everyone's insights with you. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, so what sort of years, if you don't mind aging yourself, were you when you were initially acting? Because I basically need to work out where COVID comes in. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and I'd love to talk about that and how I got into voiceover work through that. I started at 25. I'm now 33, about to be 34. And for the first 5 years, I was kind of like floundering around. I was just trying to get any acting job. I would literally apply to anything. Um, and then COVID hit, and all of a sudden, I'm just trapped in my house, and I'm like, well, I want to keep acting. And I saw on TikTok this one guy was like, "Hey, you want a side hustle? Narrate audiobooks." And I'm thinking like, the average person can't do that, but I can because I went to school for music. I know how to record stuff. And so I started getting into audiobook narration through the site acx.com. Anyone can sign up for free and start narrating audiobooks. And that went pretty well for a little bit. It was a lot of work for how much they were paying, but that kind of gave me the confidence I needed to like get into more VO work. And I found a few casting sites called voices.com and voice123, which I use mainly. And once I started getting commercial work, I was like, wow, this is really great. Everything's hitting. Like, this is starting to snowball. I'm getting more and more jobs. And actually, voiceover work is what let me go into acting full time.
What do people actually need to be able to set up and do voiceover work? As in, how
Um,
much tech, what sort of, surroundings, because I could see some
yeah.
people thinking, well, I need to buy this and that and do this and soundproof the room.
So,
And
so
yeah,
this is my voiceover booth right here. As you can see, it's just it's just a wardrobe changing thing that I've put a duvet over and a bunch of blankets. You do need a condenser microphone. You need an audio interface, and then you need software like Logic or Pro Tools to record into. So it's a bit of a startup, but because it was COVID, I was saving money and I was able to like afford these things, which I'm really grateful for. Um, it's definitely a bit of a startup, but the payout is so worth it because you'll work like 30 minutes to an hour and make really good money doing commercial work, and that it just pays for itself.
and you give them much direction on these jobs when they come in,
Direction, what do you mean?
or just like, what style they want it in.
Yeah, just like if it's a commercial job, I was the voice of this fast food chain in Los Angeles in the Southwest region called Del Taco for a little while. And in just my mind, I'm just like, okay, what would they want to hear? And I invented my cool guy voice, which kind of sounds like this, you know? So I think back to all the commercials I've watched, and I'm just like, okay, I think this is what they want. So I kind of just try and give them what they want.
And then with the audiobooks as well, again, how do you approach that? Of like, do you? I guess my question is how much instructions do you get, and how much is it just get on with it?
Not much.
Yeah.
For voiceover work, there's not much direction or instruction. You are self-directing yourself
Mm.
for a majority of these gigs, unless it's a live session, but they would never do a live session for audiobook. Del Taco wanted a live session, so I'm in the studio, I'm in the virtual studio with these producers on the other side, and we're getting it to exactly what they want. But with audiobooks, you just send in your audition, and then the producer of that audiobook is just like, well, okay, well, I liked it, and I trust you to do 9 hours now of this. So it's about it, really.
I can imagine if what you're saying is obviously that's an amazing saving grace during COVID because that is something you had the kit for, you've got the talent for, you can sit and do. But obviously, you've talked about one of the things you like on set was being with people. So presumably
Yeah,
that's why you want to do more than just audiobook. Because
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
because I can
voiceover
see
work
that that
is.
can end up being quite isolating. Yeah.
You are absolutely right. It is isolating. Sometimes when we're doing live sessions, we use a program called Source Connect, which basically feeds my microphone into whatever studio they're at in the world. And I don't even see them. So being on set, is such a blessing because you get to meet people and like interact with people. Voiceover work is very, pays the bills, but it's very lonely. I mean, I'm just at home. I've got my dog, so there's that. But it's a little bit of lonely work. So
So, just to explain to people kind of in other bits of the world. So, COVID, I mean, in the UK, I can kind of remember when COVID was sort of obviously coming in March because I was running an event And that was pretty much the last event that we got in, which is around the 7th of March. And then it was kind of becoming clear that I think we're going to go into shutdown. What was hilarious is I had children at primary school at the time. And one of my daughters was in like some big dance thing that they were going somewhere. And we'd had to order these sweatshirts. And it was at the stage of like, I think that everything's going to shut down, like school's not going to be running. And I remember these mums going, but what about the dance show? And it's like, darling, I don't think the dance show is going to carry on while everything else
Yeah.
stops. And his mum like, but the dance show had the total shutdown here. And then we kind of came out of it. And then it came back in the autumn. We had all these like rolling shutdowns and weird, we had all these categories of what you could and couldn't do in different areas depending on how bad it was. I live in Kent, by the way. There was a big thing because we had the Kent variant of COVID.
Okay.
We were like the county that was like, oh, they've got the Kent variant that's not spread to the rest of the
Oh,
country.
too posh for me.
Oh, but I was just wondering how was it like that in America? In that was it like total shutdown and then sort of in and out of things, or just as a comparison for everyone else in the world, what the experience is like?
I was grateful to live in Los Angeles, where there is actually more green than people think, and more space. I'm from New York, Queens originally, and I couldn't imagine living there, trapped in a freaking shoebox closet, uh, having to just be locked in all day. I mean, with my very close friends, I broke a few rules. I went to their backyards to, like, I don't know, train and lift weights and like do some boxing because I'm like, well, I gotta do something. I can't just be in the house all day. So I did respect rules when I had to, but I broke them for friends every now and then. It wasn't really, thinking back on it now, it seems like I almost like romanticize the loneliness of it all because I got to spend more time playing games inside, but also just like, yeah, being isolated was also pretty bad too. So
It was like it slowed down, but then we were all a bit too cut off and realised that we did need other people. I think
yeah, we
we
did.
need
Yeah,
other
I
people. We quite
yes.
appreciate life being a bit slower, not as pressured.
Yes, I call myself an extroverted introvert. And I like my alone time, but not too much alone time. So,
So when did things start opening up in LA and sort of work start coming in again? And then where does verticals fit into that timeline for you?
yeah, so work started, I mean, like things were still shooting during COVID. I remember I remember working on stuff in like that summer on set, just doing whatever work I could find. So, it's not like the industry like completely shut down. Like people were still shooting stuff. Um when verticals happened, I it's so strange. In 2023, skipping like a few years ahead, all of a sudden I get an email from this film company I worked with doing some print work, IMC film production, and they're like, "Hey, we have a role that we think you're really good for. Could you send in a quick tape?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I sent in a tape. It was like for some werewolf stuff. I'm like, "Okay." And they're like, "Hey, so yeah, we're shooting this like mini TV show." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I was really excited. I get the script and I'm like, oh, it's really soapy. It's like very exaggerated, but I was like, okay, like this is like the first like serious thing that's popped up in like, I don't know, like 3 years of not really doing narrative work.
Hmm.
So that was my first lead role in a vertical, the Alpha and his contract Luna. And I thought the title was absurd, but I didn't understand verticals at the time because it was new, you know? And that was my first experience, yeah, shooting an 8-day vertical. Yeah.
So where was that filmed? Was that done in LA then?
Yeah, it was done in
Yeah.
Los Angeles. I've done all my vertical work in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Is there like a crossover? I'm thinking gaming, verticals, kind of getting in.
So the crossover I see is that what's so funny is I just wrapped up a vertical for Net Short, and I get on set and my work is so like grounded at first in reality, but then like the director comes up to me and is like, vertical acting, vertical acting. And I'm like, okay, all right, fine. So you always want a 10. So it's always going to be at a 10. It's not going to be like, Anna, how could you have done this? It's going to be like, Anna, how could you have done this? It's going to just always be at that kind of like heightened level of soapiness the whole time. So, um, where was I going with this?
Gaming.
Um,
Gaming crossover.
yes. So I feel like when it comes to acting for like natural grounded stuff, I don't want to use the voiceover voice. But in this soapy reality, that actually helps because I can get really nice and low and mean if I'm the villain, right? So like that voiceover work helps me kind of like get into that soapy mindset. And people are always like, "Hey, are you a voiceover actor?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, I am." Because they see it. They see the work that I do.
So in your first vertical, obviously it's a bit of a challenge of like, right, you're a werewolf. Um,
Yes.
I guess it's is there inspiration? Like, what do you go like? Right, I'm going to have to sell this. Yeah, what's the routine to sort of working out how to sell the story?
Well, I love character work, so I was definitely having a lot of fun with the teeth they gave me and like the werewolf moments. You know those moments when like you just get so angry and you pin someone up against a wall. That part really wasn't tough for me. It was just mainly like the acting in between that I had to start getting used to. Coming at it from like a kind of like heightened soap um lens.
And just practically as well. So you've worked on a lot of other sets. Like, how
Yeah.
is vertical set different? I guess I'm mainly talking about speed and
Oh my
shots.
God, speed. Yes, it's all about speed and it's all about pure efficiency. Um, I shot this to give you some contrast. I shot this indie horror feature film last year in the summer called Processing Charlie, and we had 3 weeks to do that film. And it was like 10, 12-hour days, but it was I think like 100-ish page script. And we had 3 weeks to shoot it, so we were 10, 12-hour days is, I mean, that's pretty standard. It felt like we had enough time to like get in a few takes at least. If you're on a vertical, you were shooting 12 pages a day. And in the film industry, one page is 1 hour. So, 12 pages, 12 hours, you only have one take. Sometimes there's multiple people in these scenes. You have to get everyone's coverage. You got to get that close up. You got to get that two shot. You have to get a medium of the person. Then there's 6 people in the scene. It's like there's so much going on. On this other set I just wrapped on, we had 3 cameras and we still ran into overtime. It was crazy. Yeah, we had one day where we did 18 hours. 18 hours. It was insane.
Yeah.
We did 21 pages in one day. That is absurd. If you tell that to any person working in the industry, they'll be like, "What? What did you say?" The script was only 100 pages. We did a fifth of the script in one day. We did the wide shot. We did the close-ups. 6 people in this scene. It was madness. When I was wrapped, I didn't even say goodbye to everybody. I just went to the bathroom. I cleaned the blood off of me, and I just went home. I couldn't even say goodbye. I was
It's
so
just the
mad.
exhaustion as well.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the exhaustion, and like everyone gets it. So they apologized to me the next day. I apologized to them. But like, yeah, I mean, 18 hours. I mean, you never know. With these sets, it's like I'm prepared. I don't know if I can curse on this interview. Um, I'm prepared to eat shit when I enter a vertical. I'm like, okay, this is definitely going to be a 12-hour day minimum. And it might go into 14 to 16. And if it's not, then my expectations, are like that's great. Then I'm happy. But yes, it's these sets are you gotta like come prepared. You gotta be rested, and you just gotta be ready for anything they throw at you. Because you never know what you might run into. I mean, sometimes they pull an unrehearsed stunt on you. You gotta stand your ground and like be like, hey, this is not safe, or you know, a lot of these sets are non-union, right? So they don't offer the same protections that SAG actors get. And so you have to learn to stick up for yourself when you feel like something is unsafe or out of your range, you know?
Do you think that's a little bit easier as an actor coming in who is, just a little bit older? And I mean that you're not in your very young 20s and also has just
Yeah.
had a bit more professional experience. So it's a bit more like, I need to put a boundary in here or I need to say this. Because I could see that if you're really young and it's your first job, you don't know any different, you're like, okay, fine,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, speaking on that, I won't say what show it was, but I show up to set. There's this very green actor. I think he was a model. He wasn't even an actor that I had to work with. And they pulled an unrehearsed stunt on me. They said, okay, you have to jump on this branch claw this guy's throat out. He falls to the ground and dies. And I'm like, okay, that's fine from my thing. But when we practiced the stunt, this guy was like really falling. Like he wasn't like stunt falling. And they had no pad. And we're in a dry riverbed full of rocks. And it just doesn't feel safe. And this guy is really falling because he thinks he has to really fall as a green actor. And I'm like, guys, this does not feel safe. But they were like, we don't have time. We need to do this now. Like, all right, pictures up. And I'm like, damn, I don't even have time to process like this and tell them that I'm not comfortable with this. Thankfully, we got the shot and everything was safe. I gave them a piece of my mind after. But yeah, you just have to learn like when to stick up for yourself and when to say like, no, we need to slow down and like really evaluate what's going on here.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That's really good advice. And I know that's something that quite a lot of people around the industry are trying to work on and just provide people with support. Because I totally get it. You know, if you're trying to make a living and a job as an actor and someone offers you the money and you're like, that means you can make rent. You know, we live in that world. We're
Yeah,
like, I can make rent.
you're
I
not going
need
to
to make
speak
rent.
up, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But you have to speak up, and we're more powerful together.
Just talking about that one. So obviously you've kind of done two werewolf ones, haven't you? But you aren't a werewolf in one of them, which I don't think is quite giving it away, or sort of are. Um, Basically the one about the Alpha Queen. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
yeah,
Alpha Queen
you have
returns.
so much fun in that.
Oh my God, I had so much fun.
But
Being the
I
villain
could
is
just tell watching it. You were like, bringing it on.
I don't, the first three verticals I've ever done, it was more of a referral kind of thing. So for that one, that was a real short production and the casting director Yi remembered me and he's like, hey, I think you'd be great for this. And I see the sides and I'm just like, okay, it's a villain. Villains in verticals are great because you can just do anything and it's just crazy and fun. You don't have to adhere to any kind of like limitations or structure. And for this one, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go like crazy-eyed, like Joker style villain, and you can tell how much fun I'm having in the final thing because I just almost had free reign on set. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna just be the craziest kind of villain. Maybe insert a little bit of humor into here, and just see if it works. And I think it did. So
I also think you get those kind of good opening villain shots as well, don't we? We can't really see you. We're in the shadows, and it's like if you
yes,
want a villain,
yes.
that's the sort of you either want a really big entrance or you want that kind of cool entrance if nobody's quite sure.
Yes, yes. Yeah, those verticals that like where they introduce the character so late into the thing, I'm like, "Oh, I wish they would introduce me sooner." But yeah, those little snippets of me like with my back turned and like, yeah, do the thing, and I'm like on the phone. I guess that's fun.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot of
yeah.
good close-ups of your hand on the phone. The phone, who's on the
Oh
phone on
yes,
your
very
phone.
much so. Really
Very good phone
building up to
acting.
this villain. Yes, yes, very yeah, definitely building up to this villain. That was a lot of fun though. And that was just 2 days on set.
Wow, so
Yeah,
you did
just
all
had a
that in
lot.
just 2 days. Okay, that's
Yeah,
quite
it
a
was
good.
just 2 days. 2 days, literally 1 to 2 takes. So you have to really come in knowing what your character is and what you're going to give to
Yeah,
them. And if it fits in the vertical style of acting that everyone seems to want on
yeah,
these sets. Because you can't, like I said before, you can't come grounded in reality. Because these are not like this isn't like a Netflix or Hulu show you watch. You know,
yeah.
this is like a heightened soap opera. So you have to come in knowing that and just have fun. Just have fun. That's the most important
Which I
part.
think you clearly did in that. I'm sorry you didn't get away with your dastardly deeds. I felt a little bad for you.
Well, I'm always the hero when I'm the villain in
Yeah.
my eyes. So,
And then obviously I have to ask about Double Life of Billionaire, and I can't quite remember it because
oh yeah, the double life
you
of a billionaire.
nominated you and Haley as a favourite on-screen couple.
Oh my God, I love working with Haley. I usually ask Haley and Kelsey too, who played Eve, to help me out with my self tapes. Mark was great to work with too. That set was one of the best sets and casts I've ever worked with, and I think it shows because that was. I mean, I had one of the producers reach out to me saying that that was a verified mega hit. I mean, it has like 150 million plus views. Um, and I actually know that they even referenced that scene where like I stick out my middle finger in the car. They actually referenced that in other verticals. So, I feel like validated in my choices and what I did. So,
Because yeah, that's one of the storylines that's been done umpteen times, and it's kind of important that people know. I think yours was one of the first versions of that.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
Hayley's character is married to Mark, and he's not really appreciating her, and as usual, there's another woman who's inserted
And the
herself into
brother
their
comes in
lives.
and saves the day every
And
now
then,
and
yeah,
then.
and then she walks out, and he's all like, "Oh, you're gonna need money. You can't cope." And she's like, "I think you will find I have my own money." And then obviously you turn up, and obviously that's brilliant because as the brother, he's like, "That's another man." It's like it's just her brother, but she's yeah, and it's very awesome the way you kind of sweep her off, and then. But one of the things that's really interesting
Yeah.
you were saying about the acting is I always think what Hayley's really good at is actually she's very good at being that like stillness with all the craziness going around her.
Yes, she is. She's very good at that, and I think that's why she works so much because she can like blend grounded with the soap thing that they're looking for. She blends that really well together.
So I have to ask, what's your favourite outfits you've got to wear in verticals?
Um, I've got my two suits right here,
Ah,
my blue and my black suit.
this is like Billionaire
So
needed on set. I'm ready.
yes, so blue is for good guy, black is for bad guy or mafia, and then I'll put like a frilly shirt if I'm mafia or whatever. Um, if it's werewolf, I'll wear like a Henley, like a stylish Henley maybe. Yes, I have everything ready to go for all my vertical auditions. So it's really the only thing that's available to actors in Los Angeles right now. Are these vertical series. There's nothing else.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, there's really nothing else. Um, I get maybe like 10 to 12 vertical auditions a week. And in terms of like horizontal stuff, which I hate saying now, I will get like 1 to 4 auditions a month for like a film role. So really, this is all we have. So I actually last year I kind of like stepped away from doing verticals because I was like, I don't want to do soap stuff. But now even my manager has come around and he's like, yeah, man, this is where it's at. So we're really putting all our ducks in a row into vertical stuff.
So what's the attitude then in the industry that's changed? Because it sounds like your manager's like, yeah, this is where the work is. So yeah.
Well, for managers and agents, they still have a lot to learn because this is a really new thing, especially in the non-union world. Because agents, I mean, mainly work with SAG talent, and SAG can't work verticals, even though they show up on set. Um, so it's a new thing for most managers and agents to deal with. Um, there's a lot of conflicting opinions in the industry. Some people think like actors are happy for the work, right? Um, some crew is not happy with how much work and how little pay they offer, because these are non-union sets. So yeah, it's a lot of mixed opinions. Um, the way I see it, I mean, it's the only work available, so I'm all for it, really.
What do you think would be like the big thing that if they could change about verticals would improve, I guess, the industry's opinion of them?
If SAG approved of verticals, but they don't.
Okay.
I've heard stories where SAG came on a vertical set because they were trying to get it flipped, and they saw the set and they were just like, no, this is not a SAG set.
So at the
So
moment,
until
there's just
this,
way too big a gulf between what SAG would consider a set and where verticals are.
yes, yes, and I even heard from a friend that that set that they thought was gonna flip SAG, they thought it was very professional, but even SAG was just like, no, this is way below our standards, and we can't approve this to be SAG. Yeah,
And so, what are the with the scripts that you're seeing? So obviously, you're getting loads coming in. What kind of
yeah,
themes are in the scripts now? Is it still werewolves? Are you seeing new things coming through?
yeah. I see all sorts of things. It's usually billionaire stuff. It's usually werewolf stuff. It's usually mafia stuff. Um, the one I just did called Ashes of Love. I'm not sure it's gonna be called that, but it's for Net Short. That one was like a kind of revenge fantasy one, um, told from the perspective of the female lead. So that was kind of interesting in a different way. The stuff that happens to us in that vertical is awful, but I guess we deserve it. So I welcome new genres, like revenge fantasy, that's cool. A horror one would be cool. A whodunit kind of mystery one would be cool. But for now, everyone is still very cemented in the whole billionaire, mafia, werewolf kind of vibe.
That's really interesting. So yeah, because I think audiences like we get it, but it'd be quite nice to. We want fresh as well as I think you guys would quite like some fresh as well, just because.
Yeah, I just want something fresh, something not, yeah. But I guess to these apps, whatever works works, right? So that they just keep replicating it. And even when I talk with my actor friends on set, they're like, "Yeah, man, this thing we're doing, I just did like a few weeks ago, pretty much verbatim." I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay." So everyone's just literally copy and pasting from each other and just seeing what works, right? It's kind of just like throwing stuff at the wall and just seeing what works.
Because one of the things I was going to ask you about is what do you think are like the key ingredients of a vertical that like makes it successful? Like when you look at obviously the ones that you've been part of, and you're like, and obviously we know which one was the one that went mega.
Yeah,
Can you look as an actor and go, okay, the ones that are really going to take off, again, this is what they've got.
a great cast and great chemistry,
Mm.
really. And a good script too. Double Life was pretty good script. We also had a great director. Um, I think her name was Hannah Bang, and she just directed it or she just wrote um an episode of The Chai, which is like a huge TV show. So when you have all those elements together, great cast, great director, great crew too. I got along with everybody. Then you have like a recipe for success. If you don't have great chemistry, it's just not going to work,
Yeah.
right? You can see it. You can fake it as an actor, but like you can see it. And I always like to bring the thunder, and I always like to like get to know my castmates beforehand. I'm always like, "Hey, let's meet up. Let's play mini golf or get drinks." And then after we wrap, I'm like, "Hey, let's get drinks. Let's talk about what we just did. Let's celebrate." Because that's what it's about, Like we're actors, like we should be like having fun and enjoying this. So chemistry to me is like the number one thing that makes things successful.
And that's quite useful because you were talking about what you enjoy doing. And I wanted to go back to music
Yeah.
because obviously music in verticals and the sound quality can be all over the place.
Oh yeah.
So obviously you can have
Oh,
very bad sound. You can also have very good verticals where the what's added on afterwards is bizarre, shall we say? So
hmm
I come from Korean dramas, so I understand that kind of editing trope of putting on like the comic things, and I think it does work sometimes in the right tone, but other times it's not. And actually, I just finished a vertical today, which was pretty good, but it was really brought down by the fact they had one recurring bit of music they'd obviously got hold of and just played over the entire thing.
Oh,
Imagine that same melody. The first time I was like, oh, this is quite good. And like time 55, you're like, I can't take it.
yeah.
How do we get verticals, given that the speed that they're created, elevate the music and sound? Because I know that in like traditional film, that's a big process. So it's like,
Absolutely.
how do we bridge that and try and slightly improve it?
You're so right, Jen, about sound being an important part of watching something because if something is blurry and then like gets into focus, or if something's like shot in a lower resolution, I'm willing to watch it if the sound is good. If the sound is not good and the picture is beautiful, I'm not really willing to watch it. So what I've noticed is like on set, I will act and there'll be a plane going overhead and I won't hear cut or like hold for sound. We're just gonna truck through it because like I said before, there is no time to wait. We have one, two takes tops, maybe three if like director's pushing it. We just don't have any time to get the right kind of sound quality. And I think sound people at this point have like given up on trying to get good sound on set because they just know like it's just not going to happen. Luckily, sound technology has gotten pretty good. As a voiceover actor, I use something called Isotope, which is a great denoiser and takes out a lot of the, relics and artifacts that you would hear from recording bad sound. But that's probably why they disguise most of the dialogue with like loud, abrasive music.
Oh wow! So
And
it's
going back,
actually trying to, in a weird way, disguising that that sounds bad by putting the music over it.
yes,
Ah,
yes,
that's so
but you
useful
really
to
just can't.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and going, yeah. And going to what you said about the recurring music thing, I come from composing and writing music, and if you were to hire me to compose for Vertical, I would charge like my composer rate. That probably wouldn't be in their budget. So they're probably using all like stock music, and they're just using that same thing over and over again because it doesn't cost much and they can get away with it.
I've noticed you often hear green sleeves.
Grain slaves.
Okay, well we know in England it's like
Yeah,
I can't sing it, but yeah, but obviously the
yeah,
whole theory is Henry VIII wrote it. But yeah, but obviously
right.
that's so old and it's obviously pretty much free of everyone.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's used quite a lot in verticals.
Really?
There's
Oh,
certain
of
things that
course.
you're like, of course that must be free. And there's what was it? There's another one. There's an old song, "Let Me Call You Sweetheart." That's used quite a bit as well. Again,
Okay.
because presumably it's free or the rights, so I don't know how these things work.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's quite interesting. Have you ever then, with all this acting, how does the music fit into your life? Because I imagine you can't just cut off music.
Yeah, I mean, with acting in VO work taking up my full time, music's kind of been like relegated to a hobby now. I can't let it go because it was my first love in terms of the arts. But I still am able to use it in things I shoot. Like for example, in October, I went to Arizona. I shot a beautiful film called Over Again, doing the rounds in the festival circuit right now, and I had to sing a song. I played a musician, so I was like, great. I get to fuse my loves of film and singing together. Um, and God, I would love to do that. I think we talked about it. We DM'd each other. I would love to do that in Vertical, to do a kind of music role, write a song for Vertical, and like be the musician type.
Because obviously I've had the privilege of talking to quite a lot of you, and obviously most of you are like, okay, right, first of all attractive, all very good at acting. And then,
Thank
oh,
you.
and they can sing and they can paint and they can dance and they can, you're all ridiculously talented. So there's this whole list of talents that you all have, and it's clear that there's a lot of musical and dance talent, which would be amazing to have on screen.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that's just
Dance, yeah, a dance vertical. That'd be cool. Like bring it on or something.
okay, this would work, wouldn't it? The banquet halls dance off.
Yeah.
The two families battling it out, dance off,
Yeah,
throwdown
yeah,
moves
yeah.
to get it work. Um, but then it was like, okay, how do we actually get you singing and playing in it? And it felt, I think, even just a month or two ago, that felt like that was too much to ask. But I've just watched a Ukrainian vertical.
Yeah. They're
And I
shooting stuff
spoke,
there a lot.
I
Yeah.
spoke to the actor, and obviously they're making, and I talked to him, and they're doing the same about length of shoot. They're doing the same amount of pages. That he played a rock star, and they wrote, composed a song. He sang on a song. He did, they did a whole thing where basically he composed the song and sang on stage.
Wow.
And then obviously you have to factor in that this is Ukraine. And he was quite like, yeah, and sometimes we have to go and spend time in the shelter because there's rocket attacks. So I was a bit like, right, so if they can manage,
That's really
obviously with
rock and roll.
the life and death challenges they've got, and they did a whole concert song and it really worked. It worked in the story as well. I'm like, we could do that here. Like, the rest of the world, we can manage that. So I just think it really needs to
Yeah.
happen. So I think you need
Yes,
to get yourself out there and just remind everyone that
yeah, you're
you're really
right. I
handy
see it.
with these instruments, people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just after a certain while of just like hitting the paint on social media, I feel like burned out. I feel like during COVID I was doing so much social media and then like just years and years of editing my own stuff. I'm just like I just want to be in other people's productions. Like I don't want to post anything, but it's our job kind of to show the world what we do, right? So I should feel happy about it, not like, oh, it's a job, but it kind of is a job. So yeah, I gotta get back out there.
I just think we could do it for you. Okay, well, this is it. This is why you're doing this, because this is our pitch to the internet.
This is our pitch.
Please
Yes, please
cast
hire
Michael
me.
and lend his music.
I can write, I can compose, I can produce a whole song. I could do it. I've just kind of stepped away from that for a while. Um, Putting all my eggs in this basket in the acting basket, and it's been going pretty well. So I'm still like artistically satisfied in life.
It's good.
So I
That's the
feel
main
grateful
thing
about
that
it.
you've got that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just wanted to ask you as well about as an actor. Obviously, I've realised, I run my own business. You're also freelance business, aren't you? Because you're
absolutely.
working
Here's something no
yourself,
one tells
promoting
you.
yourself. Yeah. How does that work?
Yeah, here's something no one tells you when you become an artist. You basically become a bounty hunter. I'm just hunting my bounties. Like, where's the cash? Where's the money? I did the work for you. Where's the money? So it's mainly like my life. But yes, I'm a full-time business. And yeah, I'm my own boss. It feels fun. You know, when the going is good, it's life is great. I have a lot of free time, but when the going is not good, I do get depressed. I'm like, am I an actor? What am I doing? I'm never gonna be like Timothy Chalamet. But then the going gets good, and then like everything works. So it's a lot of ebbs and flows. Um, I'd rather have that, I think, than that stable 9 to 5 job. But it all depends.
Does it work? Just, I mean, I hope you don't mind me asking, but you're answering so many of my questions. Just things
Sure.
like contracts and stuff like that. Like, do you get given advice, or is it pretty much you have to figure all these things out and like what your rate's going to be and how it's all going to work on your own?
Yeah, so when you're not repped by a manager or an agent, you have to figure out what am I worth. The voiceover community is very good at setting their own rates, and I have a very good understanding now of setting my own voiceover rates. But with acting, you never really know how much you're worth until a manager like steps up and tells them how much you're worth. So I have a really great manager right now, Mike. He fights for me a lot when we look at these contracts, and he also looks at the contracts and protects me against AI stuff too, potential AI abuse, because you never know what that's going to look like in the future. So I think that's the most important part of having a team is that they look after you, they look over your contracts and then tell you, hey, this is either a good deal or it's like, hey, this might lead to something, or it's like, hey, we need to put in these protections for you because we want to protect you in the future. So,
And you've brought in AI, which is obviously I've not talked to anyone about. What is the feeling about AI? Because I can see there's a slight worry of verticals, obviously trying to save money.
oh, you know what's so crazy about this? I never signed an NDA, so I feel like I can talk about this. I was casting myself for a voiceover job, and it's like looking for a voiceover actor because we AI'd this vertical series, but the AI voice wasn't good enough. So I was like, okay, and I saw some of this stuff, and it was AI actors in a vertical format. And I was like, are they really trying to push this? And I did the best I could. I gave them a great voiceover, and we never even finished the job. He closed out the job. He still paid me for my work, but I just thought that was so strange that this company was trying to sell or pitch an AI
Yeah.
vertical,
Because I don't
and
think
it
it will
didn't look
work.
good. It didn't look good, to be honest. So I'm glad that didn't work out. But I am not really too scared of AI just yet. I don't feel like producers or companies want to replace us with AI, at least good producers or companies. Humans want to work with humans. And the only application of AI I've seen as a voiceover actor is now they just AI the sample script. Usually it's the director just speaking into their phone, but now they're using an AI voice. It's like, hey, could you just make this better? So I'm not too scared right now. If you're good, people will want you. And it's important to be as individual and like be, it sounds so cheesy, but just be you because no one can be you.
Yeah.
And that company or that production might be looking for you. You never know what they want.
Because I would agree with you in that I would say, okay, so just we're having a random discussion here. So my day job business is what I used to do is a lot of business support for other small businesses. So things like website and copy and social media marketing and emails and that, and processing podcasts. So I used to do podcasts and I used to have to do it all manually. Go have the entire endless transcript and break it all down myself.
Yeah.
And this is for an Irish woman. He always had Irish guests, so they were very, very, very long podcasts because they would just talk, and there'd be 3 pages where they were talking about their friend at school, and then get back on topic. And
Right.
it was like hours of work. AI now is like that's half an hour with AI. You have to do an edit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Yeah.
work that I do like that that's just gone because of AI.
Mm,
But
yeah.
then people want then the authenticity. So I don't think that's going to happen with acting because people want to connect with someone real over screen. And I don't think, I think that's partly why with my account, people want that I'm just me and not just, faceless. It's had more success since I've just been totally unfiltered myself rather than
Right.
trying to be like, oh, if you're going to be on social media, you should do this, that, and the other. I'm just throw whatever. As you said, I throw whatever and see what works.
Right.
So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
it's that there's almost a contrast of actually being authentic is what people really, really look for. Because we can all spot AI stuff a mile off, can't we?
Absolutely. You just know it. Unfortunately, the older generations probably don't know it, but yes, you can just tell when something's AI, it's soulless. It might do well in a commercial setting because commercial marketing stuff is just soulless in general. Um, but I feel like people are gonna want people, and once more AI stuff comes out, I think people will be like, "Oh yeah, maybe I don't want this." That's all we can hope for, you know. I'm hoping that it just becomes like the McDonald's of entertainment. You know, it's like, "Oh, you want cheap thrills? Here's some AI slop. You want something really nice? You want a filet mignon? Here's some real actors." You know, it might become like that.
So yeah, I think you're right. And then the other thing I just wanted to talk to you about as well. I don't know if you're aware as an actor, but obviously as fans, like the amount of apps springing up at the moment is crazy.
Yeah.
So when I watched your show on Real Short last year, the Billionaire one, okay, when I was at the stage I had pretty much watched everything I wanted to watch on Real Short. Like, can you really, you could you
I
just
can't
can't do
imagine
that
it.
now. Obviously, they were doing about 2 releases a week, I think, at the time, which and that
Okay.
felt like a lot. And obviously now, they're. I mean, I'm just as one app. They're doing daily releases and they're buying in content and they've got more. So I think they have more than one
Yeah.
thing going out a day that's new.
Yeah.
And that's just one app. So obviously that's magnified across everything. So now as a
Right.
viewer, there's like, right, there's no way you can possibly watch everything, even everything you want. So how do you choose what you want to watch?
I don't know. Yeah, you know what's crazy? There's like 13 or 14 productions like a month happening in Los Angeles. There's so much to watch. Um, I really don't know how you pick and choose.
This is where I think it actually then comes back to all of you because then actually that's where I think the actors and actresses become more important.
Right, because
Because you go and watch what people you follow and connect with are in.
that's true. And that's kind of like, you know, as a non-union actor who's like pretty much like I don't want to call myself a nobody. That sounds really negative, but like I'm not really like that in the sphere just yet. When you watch movies and shows, you're like, I wish they would hire like a new actor for this. But like, would you have really watched that movie or this show if that actor you love wasn't in this? Like, would I have seen The Materialists with my fiance the other night if Pedro, Chris Evans, and Dakota Johnson wasn't in it? I don't know. So I think when it comes to like the actors in these vertical spheres, it's like, yeah, it's who you like. It's who you gravitate towards that kind of dictates the kind of shows you might want to see.
Yeah. So in a nice way, I think it's actually moving the power more to your hands as such. Because
Absolutely,
that is going to
yes.
be the point of the difference of like when people have got so much to choose from. So
Absolutely. You get leverage, then you can start saying no to scripts that you don't like. Um, because when you say no to scripts, then hopefully that forces the production or the company to be like, okay, maybe that wasn't a good script. We can do better. Because the scripts 2 years ago were, I mean, God, now they're getting better, but we all just want better scripts. We all just want like localized scripts, if anything. I hate going on set and I have to change the tenses and all the grammar because it's clearly like translated from Chinese to English with no localization efforts at all. Like that just wastes my time having to fix the script on set when I only have like 1 to 2 takes.
yeah,
You know, now I have to start thinking about a better way to say this line or get this like feeling out.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, so just going forward, what would you like to do? Like, if you're like, what are your dream roles? Obviously, we've talked about the music, but what else would you find really rewarding if you could do?
Oh, I'd love just like a stable video game job. That'd be so fun. Just work like doing mocap on a big game like I don't know, Last of Us. That's a dream. The dream at first was on-screen work, so to be in like a TV show or a movie. But now the way the industry is going, like I don't even know if that's going to be a possibility in the near future, perhaps in the late future. But getting onto a cool video game project, I'd love that.
Well, come on, come on, universe, can we make this happen for Michael, please? Um,
Or a musical vertical series. I would
Vice
love to do that.
and then just some final fun questions. So, okay, this is going to be like choosing between your children. Favorite video
Okay.
games? Favorite video
Favorite
game?
video games? No, it's such an unfair question.
I know.
I
Or what are you most excited about that you're waiting for to come out?
I don't really know. I kind of just go with the flow, but I think the games that impacted me the most were, like I said before, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. It instilled with me a love for the macabre and the dark, and the music was so good. This game, Kingdom Hearts, which merged like Disney characters with like Final Fantasy characters. That was the first game. I played that game in sixth grade. I was like 10 or something or 11. That was the first game. At the end, I start crying, and I'm like, why should I be? Why am I crying? This is a video game. But I'm like, yes, you can cry over a video game. This is art. This is a form of art. So that one really impacted me a lot. Um, and just silly games like Smash Bros. I mean, that's how I met most of my friends in college. They were always an avenue to like just meet people and like inspire community. So that's why I'm so passionate about them.
And then I have to ask as well about what's your favorite like TV? Like maybe classic ones, or also what you'll put on for like endless reruns that you're quite happy to watch rewatches of.
I don't really watch TV by myself. I mainly watch TV with my fiance, and we've been watching a lot of soap stuff that's kind of inspired my vertical acting. Like we got through all of Gossip Girl, and I'm like, oh, okay. These shows want Chuck Bass. They want the
Yes.
whisper acting Chuck Bass. Like they want like that kind of stuff. We're like finishing up the OC right now. We'll probably rewatch Game of Thrones. I watched it. She hasn't. So I want to rewatch that and see all the stuff that I hadn't
Yeah, it's
seen now
quite
that
fun
I
to watch
know.
someone's reactions, isn't it? When you know what's
Yes,
coming, you're like,
yes, absolutely. During
yes,
some moments for sure.
a wedding. This will go well.
Yeah. So yeah.
um, I love that. And actually, that's really interesting you said that about Gossip Girl, because I've had several actresses say they were like, oh, right, okay, I need to find my inner Blair Waldorf. That's how I get through this role.
Absolutely. It's Serena, it's Blair, it's Chuck, it's Dan. I mean, like it's all those guys. Like they want that stuff. On my first vertical ever, the director was like, more Chuck Bass, more Chuck Bass. So I
I
was
love
like,
that.
I hate whisper acting, but it's like they want that, you know. I'm like, all right, fine.
It is good on screen as a viewer. Just to
It's
say,
good on
it is
screen.
good.
It's
There's
good
a
on.
reason all the girls like Chuck best. And then just finally, kind of what have you got coming up that we can look forward to either seeing you on screens or how can we support you this year?
I've got nothing coming up. I'm fine with that actually. I could use a break. But I did just do some cool stuff for Net Short. It might be called Ashes of Love. It's that
Yeah.
revenge fantasy.
Yeah.
It's a wild one. I lose a kidney. It's bad.
It's a bit
I deserve it
careless.
though. I deserve it.
You deserve it, okay. But I still feel it's a bit
Yes.
careless. Just, put it down somewhere. Not pick it up again.
Yeah, the mafia comes and takes it. I don't want
Yeah.
to spoil too much. Yeah, you can just follow me on Instagram at Maku Music. I usually post about stuff. Yeah, good things.
I just say thank you so much because you've just been so kind and also just so generous with just sharing your experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. You're out there, managing this page, giving us, a platform to speak. So yeah, and sharing our work. So we really appreciate it. I have one of the great things about verticals is that like I have people reaching out to me in my DM saying, "Oh my God, I watched all of your stuff. You're a great actor. I can't wait to follow you on this journey." I'm like, that's so sweet and kind. Um, so really, to all the fans, like, thank you. Like we, as non-union actors, like this is awesome. It's a blessing, really.